Here is the home page for Notepad++. I want you to use Notepad++ for developing your HTML pages when you're working with the web design textbook. It is hands down has so many more features for web development than just regular Notepad has. So it has color coding. It automatically has a feature to save to HTML and CSS. So you're going to click on download, and then I would recommend just clicking on this Notepad++ installer, and it's going to download this NPP. This is the version I'm on right now, installer.exe. After it has installed that, you should double click. I'm using Chrome right now, but you should double click or locate it where it downloaded. By the way, here's a little hint. The shortcut keys Control-J will open your download page so you can see exactly where it downloaded. And double click and this will install Notepad++. After you have Notepad++ installed, I just start typing Notepad. I have Windows 7 here, and there is my Notepad++. I have it set up so it opens up all previous files. It does have a tabbed interface. You can have multiple files. Here's my syllabus actually in HTML format, but I can also have text files here, etc. I'm going to create a new web page, so I'll say File New. Okay, now to Notepad++ right now, it doesn't know it's an HTML page yet. It's not until you save the file with an HTML or an HTML extension that it knows that this will be an HTML file. Now I'm going to reference page 18, and on page 18, do you see that web page template? And there's a doc type, and there's an HTML element, and a head element, and a title element, etc. All of those elements are required for every single web page. So what does change is where it says page title goes here. Of course, change that to what you want your page title to be, and what goes in between the body. So I'm going to type that up and come back. So here's the HTML text that creates a web page. It says hello world and lists my classes I'm teaching in an unordered list. Web page is divided into two sections, if you recall from chapter 1. There's the head section, and then there's the body section. The head section gives information to the browser itself, such as this is saying we're using ASCII. The body, everything nested inside the body, is what is displayed in the web page when it's rendered in the browser. I want you to notice that some features of Notepad++ is, you can see that it provides a line. Notice that I have indented nested elements. So notice that the LIs open and close inside the ULs. So I have indented that. These three elements here are nested inside the body, so they're indented from the body. I simply indented by tabbing. Another nice feature of Notepad++ is it's got some line numbers. Now I have not saved this file, and notice the text is in black. So what you're going to do, this is an HTML file. You're going to do File, Save As. Okay, and you need to change this Save As type. So change the Save As type to right here where it says Hypertext Markup Language. And notice that it gave an HTML extension here. I do show extensions. I'll talk about that in a minute. So let me call this my first web page. And let me save it in desktop. Okay. Now hit save. Ta-da! Now it changed color. And this color coding is going to help you find your errors. So all elements names you see are in blue. All attribute names, lang and care set, are in red. And everything in black is just text that is a part of the content of the web page. With the exception of the doc type is actually not an element. It is information to the browser on what type of XML we're using or what version of HTML we're using. If it says HTML, then it's HTML version 5. Okay. Finally, HTML, you can find the opening and the matching closing element by double-clicking on the opening element. Okay, so I can find the matching head element and the matching body element. And you'll note that most elements have an opening and a matching closing, but not all of them. Meta doesn't. So we'll learn one or two. In fact, there's a couple in Chapter 2 where you just have the opening and not the closing. Okay, so now you want to see what this looks like. So in Notepad++, you're going to come up to Run, and I've added all of these different browsers here. So I'm going to launch it in Chrome, and what that's going to do is it's going to open Chrome for me and display what my page will look like, and I'm very happy with that. Okay, the next thing you'll need to do is to validate your web page. Page 46 of the textbook describes HTML syntax validation. For every single web page you create, you should validate that it is correct, that it is using the correct syntax. Just because a web page displays properly in the browser does not mean that it is valid with the syntax. And the reason is a lot of browsers operate in something called quirks mode, which says even though it's not correct, the browser tries to interpret what you intended with your HTML code. And it may be right and it may not be right. So the URL is there on page 46. I normally just go up in Chrome and write W3C validator. It's always the first one. So here is the URL. You have 3 tabs, okay? So I always choose this validate by direct input. And what I do is I go to the HTML, and I don't know if you know this shortcut, but Control A will highlight all of the HTML code. Or you can do Edit Select All, okay? You see there, Control A. Then, once you've got it all selected, do Control C for copy. You can also get to that through the Edit command too. And then I come into this text area and I paste it. Okay, so I've pasted the content of that web page in using Control V. Here I am in Validate by Direct Input. I put my cursor in here and I pasted it in there. Now I'll just come down here and click Check. And right below it, I don't have any errors. I just have some information here, so I don't have any errors. But let's take a look of what it might look like if you do have errors. So H1, if you recall from Chapter 2, is one of the elements for a real big heading. So let me take the closing element out. Now remember, they're supposed to go in pairs, okay? And let me put it in a real weird place. You're not supposed to put it there, okay? And let me check again. Now you will see that there are some errors. And it's telling me from line 9, column 3, element P is not allowed as a child element of H1. Element U cannot be a child element of H1. So let me tell you what's happening is because I didn't close H1 here, it thinks P is still inside the H1. Well, that's against the rules. It thinks this UL is inside the H1, so that's against the rules. So this one error that I just did by moving that closing H1 generated, oh my goodness, 12, it looks like actually 10 because 2 of them are informational, 10 error messages. At first it might be difficult to read and interpret what these mean, but try your best. If you can get exactly what it's telling you and it's showing you where there's an error here, and then try to correct it and check it again. And once you do correct it, if you only have the informational errors, then we're good on validation. So what I'm going to do is for every web page you submit to me, I do put it in the HTML validator. You should do likewise. I also will give you full feedback on all of your errors. So let me summarize once again what you need to do to turn in a fully correct web page. First of all, look at that template on page 18 and make sure you have all of the required elements. You need to have the doc type and the HTML, the head, the title, the meta, and the body. It must be in that position. I would like you to make sure you indent nested elements. So title is in between this opening and closing head, so it's nested. And the reason I like you to indent is it improves the readability. Like if this were a very long list, let's say it went way down to here. By indenting these, I can eyeball real quick, where is that closing UL at? If it was not indented, it would take me longer to find where that is at. One other thing I would like you to do is add a comment. I'm going to call it an author comment. Okay, so notice in Notepad++, comments are going to look in green. So if you've got something that's not a comment in green, then you didn't close your comment right. So how are comments going to look? They don't have to be in the head, but I prefer author comments to be in the head. They don't have to be, though. I would like you to start your comments with this set of characters, okay? And then end your comment with this set of characters. One thing that's different is the start has this exclamation mark in it and the ending does not. So here I'm starting another comment and here I'm ending another comment. If you want to, this will work. So since they're both on, since both of these comments are happening without anything in between, you don't really have to end it and restart it. So I'm starting the comment here and I'm ending the comment there. Well, I hope this helps you get started on your web page.